Hey everyone, welcome back to J&J Do Dev. I'm Gene3X and today we will be taking a look at CSS Specificity. If you have ever been confused by how CSS selects which styles to apply to an element, you're in the right place. CSS Specificity is the way in which the browser decides which CSS declaration and its rules to apply to a particular element. CSS declarations are applied based on their level of specificity, which is determined by the number of selectors and the types of selectors used in it. Every selector you write to style an HTML element has a score, its CSS specificity. The more specific your selector is, the higher its specificity is. Specificity can also be determined based on the position of a style, in case the selector scores are the same and within the same CSS cascade level. An easy way to remember how CSS specificity works is by imagining a score row 0-0-0-0-0, also called weight columns. The columns from the left bear the heaviest value, and the more they go to the right, the more light they become. If the first column has a weight of 1, it doesn't matter if the next column has a weight of 1,000,000, it will not become heavier than the first column. Let us begin by starting from the lightest columns and slowly move to the heavier ones. The very first type of selector, which doesn't even have a weight column, is the universal selector, an asterisk. This selector selects all elements. Here we have a document with a header and 2 paragraphs. By using the universal selector, we will select and change the background of all these elements. But before that, let's first increase the font size of the elements to make sure you, the viewer, can see what is happening and help me see better, because of my focus training by looking at a static screen for 10 hours appears to have damaged my vision. The next type of selector, which occupies the column on the far right, is the element selector. This selector selects the specified HTML element. In our example, we select the header element and overwrite the style that the universal selector has applied. The selector we wrote just now has a weight of 00001. The type selectors are not the only ones who increment this column. Pseudo-elements such as after, before, and others increase the weight of the lightest column by 1 as well. The second column, from right to left, is incremented by the class and attribute selectors. For example, here we introduce the p element selector to change the background of all p elements. Now, by using a specific class selector for the second paragraph, we change its background to something else. The class selector leads to a weight value of 00010, which is more than the element selector with weight 00001. The same can work by selecting an attribute as shown on the screen. The third column, from right to left, is the ID column, which is incremented when an ID is used as a selector. On the screen, we copy the second paragraph and create a third one, but this time we add an ID to it and use it to select the element instead, leading to a weight value of 00100, which is higher than the class selector. The last 2 weight columns are rather unique because they're not really influenced by selectors, but rather by usually bad practices. They also do not affect whole CSS declarations, but single CSS styles, as shown in a bit. The second column, from left to right, is influenced by direct HTML element styling, which happens by adding the style attribute to an element, as you can see from the fourth paragraph, which we copy-paste from the third paragraph and give it a unique ID. It is the same, but it has an inline style which influences its weight column, leading to 01000. Inline styling is not recommended. The last column is incremented when you add an exclamation mark important modifier to a specific CSS property value pair, resulting in 10000 weight, as shown with the fifth paragraph, which is given a class whose background property is marked as exclamation mark important. The exclamation mark important modifier only influences the property value pair to which it is added. However, it is important to note that this is a very discouraged practice and people should not do it. Because of how rare the last 2 columns usually are, it might be more easier to refer to specificity with only 3 columns instead of 5. Maybe we should have done that at the beginning of the video, oh well. Further important information is that when 2 or more selectors have the same weight values across all columns, The one that comes last in your style sheet will be used as shown in the example on the screen. Another thing to note is that selectors can be stacked to increase the total weight. Here is an example of a paragraph that uses an element selector, 2 class selectors and 1 ID selector, leading to a score of 00121. That selector can be overwritten, increasing any one of the values. So for example, here we add a third class selector, leading to a score of 00131, overwriting the previous one. However, sometimes there are exceptions where the selectors don't increase the weight. That includes the where selector as well as the not, is and has selectors. However, parameters of the last three do increase the weight. Combinators such as plus, bigger and tilde do not add specificity weight as well. This has been an explanation of the CSS specificity. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe for more content in the future.